So there's this company I'm not sure you've heard of. They've made many popular games spawning franchises like Crash Bandicoot and Uncharted, and the game we're talking about today, Jak and Daxter the Precursor's Legacy. Of course, I'm talking about Naughty Dog. Personally, I think Jak and Daxter is the perfect example of this, because of the technological leaps Naughty Dog were able to make in terms of making an organic open world possible on the PS2. And that is what we're going to talk about today, the world of Jak and Daxter. The adventure takes you to all sorts of places, including sandy beaches, dangerous swamps, a bad snow level, and many more areas to explore. These locations are filled with unique NPCs that come in many flavours such as stoner, digger bros, and morally grey politicians.
Oh, you're funny!
These NPCs are going to give you missions to complete across these lands in exchange for power cells, the main collectible of the game. You're going to need to collect a certain amount of these in order to progress throughout the world, whether it's for charging the heat shield on a zoomer to hover over molten lava, or powering a conveniently placed gravity machine to remove a boulder out the way of your path. Another way you can get power cells is by offering the currency of this world, precursor orbs, to these ancient oracles that are scattered throughout the world. Each one holds a power cell in both of their eyes. Whilst this does seem like a very small detail, these help give the world a bit more spice.
That's a spicy meatball!
It really makes you ponder the origins of these oracles, like the world is living and breathing, and it has existed before you played and will continue to exist long after you've stopped playing. Which leads me into one of my overall favourite things about this game, the environmental storytelling. They're able to leave a breadcrumb trail of structures, tales from NPCs, and different types of technology throughout the world you adventure through. These help build up this overall story and history of the world in your head, and strangely enough, the best part of none of it's confirmed, so you can have whatever interpretation you want, and it's just as valid as mine. In essence, you become part of the world, just like the NPCs who inhabit this place. You have your own ideas of how the world's ended up this way. A great example of this would be Rock Village. So you enter Rock Village, and there's just this really abrupt change of tone. It goes from this super light-hearted romp to something a lot more hopeless and solemn. This tone creates a mystery in your mind of, has this place always been like this? Or were the people forced into a place where they had to cower and hide? Later you do find out that all the villagers live in fear of this giant rock demon that live in a volcano towering over the land, so their fear is totally valid. This is when you notice the sea and the platforms that go far out, and into the very back you see a large dome that just screams at you to explore it. So you take a leap of faith and you traverse your way over, but you slip. And as you try to maneuver your way back to land, you begin to hear a sound, a menacing sound. But where's it coming from? You can't see any danger, so you carry on swimming, and then that scary ass thing eats you whole. Sorry to drag on, that shark always terrified me as a child. Anyway, so you arrive in the dome and there's nothing but a platform and a button. So with seemingly no other option, you press the button and are brought underwater to an area that appears to be as large as a city. But there appears to be an abundance of futuristic technology and life forms that appear nowhere else in this game. It's as if it has its own ecosystem. Although, honestly, I couldn't imagine these Beyblade cosplayers appearing anywhere else in the game. I couldn't talk about this area without mentioning the music that plays, as it is one of my favourite pieces in the game. Listen to how it perfectly represents the location's mix of deep underwater ingenuity with the futuristic technology found within. Now, the music for the entire game isn't something I can wholeheartedly say is outstanding, or something I could even listen to outside the game, but I wouldn't expect it to be outstanding. After all, its job is to set an atmosphere and an ambience for the various areas of the game, and it does that perfectly. I wouldn't expect anything more from a platformer, which brings us onto the gameplay and how you traverse this world. It's a platformer, and an extremely pure one at that. By this I mean Jak has a basic 3-hit health bar and basic moves that remain the same throughout the game from beginning to end, but there is enough variety in how you use these moves that it doesn't really get stale, and it gets you through every situation you're put through in the game without a hitch, so it's not really a problem. As I mentioned previously, power cells are the main collectibles of this game, but you can also collect precursor orbs in order to buy power cells from both NPCs and oracles, or alternatively, there are these 7 scout flies hidden in each area, and if you find these scout butterflies, you can get an extra power cell. But there's this other thing you can find throughout the world that's quite important. Eco, the power source of this world that can also help you in your adventure, as you can absorb it and utilize new abilities for a limited time. These come in 3 varieties: good, bad, and irrelevant. In all seriousness, these can come in handy, like blue eco that you can use to open secret doors to new areas with, or yellow eco that's available later in the game that allows you to fire projectiles from your hands, or green eco that you can heal with. These come in 2 forms: clouds of eco that disappear once you absorb it. They only fill up a certain amount of your eco gauge and last for a limited amount of time, but they still do the job. But you can also find eco vents throughout the world, which can infinitely supply you with eco for as long as you stand in it, and it fills up the eco gauge entirely. This leads into my absolute favourite thing about the game that I can only describe as location continuity. So let's take one of the best areas in the game, Forbidden Forest. In Forbidden Forest, there are these really annoying spiky plant roots that attack you all over the area, and you can attack these roots all you like, but they always pop back up. And you end up passing these roots off and focusing on opening the temple in the center of the forest, as you believe there's a power cell inside. But as you travel deeper and deeper, you notice these roots showing up again more and more, until the source of these roots is revealed. A giant plant with a face and tongue that he definitely wants to show off a little bit too much. Eventually you the plant enough to where it withers and dies and drops a power cell, and you are thrust back to the surface, and you begin to notice all these plant roots in the area have gone for the rest of the game. Also, from the highest point of the temple, you can actually see later areas that you're going to explore in game, and this was all made possible in a PS2 game, and it still holds up. It's amazing. Not to mention the fact that there's no loading screens as far as I can tell between any of these areas, minus the small cutscene that plays during the boat ride to Misty Island, and a dynamic day and night cycle. For a PS2 game, this set a standard. It was phenomenal. So with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this video and perhaps learned a thing or two about this game. Do you have any good memories with Jak and Daxter? Let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing day or night, depending on when you watch this, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye. つつここにできたならば